It was well past midnight in Rome when it happened. The city was asleep, the streets silent under the dim glow of street lamps, except for one apartment where a light still flickered. Inside, Yaman sat by the window, his phone resting on the table beside an untouched glass of whiskey. For hours, he had stared at it, scrolling through old messages, each one a reminder of the person he couldn't forget. Demet Özdemir. He had told himself 1,000 times that it was over. That what they'd had was just a chapter, not the whole story. But some nights didn't care about reason. Some nights, the past demanded to be heard again. It was 3:07 a.m. when he finally picked up the phone. At first, his finger hovered over her name. He hesitated. The world had already dissected every part of their story, their chemistry on set, their off-screen connection, their silence that followed. Calling her now would only open old wounds. But the silence was louder than his fear. He pressed call. The line rang once. Twice. Then a faint click, and her sleepy voice broke the darkness. Can? The sound of her name on his lips almost undid him. Demet. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Why are you calling me? She interrupted softly, but not coldly. There was a tremor in her tone, the same one that used to surface whenever she was hurt but didn't want to show it. He exhaled. Because I can't sleep anymore. Because everything I do still reminds me of you. There was silence on the line, not the awkward kind, but the heavy, magnetic silence that always existed between them. The kind that meant everything they weren't saying was already understood. Demet didn't hang up. She could have. But she didn't. It's been years, she whispered. You can't just call me like this in the middle of the night. He closed his eyes. I know. But I never stopped waiting for the right moment. And I think this is it. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. The rain began to tap against the glass, slow, rhythmic, almost in sync with his heartbeat. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she asked the question that changed everything. What do you want from me, Can? He hesitated. The truth, he said finally. Because I'm tired of pretending that I've moved on when I haven't. Because the world may have stopped talking about us, but I haven't stopped thinking about you. Not for a single night. Her breath caught on the other end. You don't mean that. I do, he said quietly. And if you still feel even 1% of what I feel tonight, don't hang up. There was a long pause, a heartbeat stretched across miles. Then, softly, she whispered, I'm still here, Can. And in that single sentence, years of silence shattered. The world didn't know it yet, but that call, that one forbidden, midnight call, was about to reignite a story the entire world thought had ended forever. By the next morning, the quiet of that midnight call was gone. What had been a private moment between two hearts separated by fame and fear was about to become international news. It began with a small noise on social media, a whisper that turned into a roar within hours. A fan account from Istanbul posted a cryptic tweet, something happened last night. Yaman's phone connected to Demet's signal at 3:07 a.m. Most people ignored it. But others started digging. Someone noticed that Demet had briefly gone online around that same time. Only for seconds, just long enough to be noticed by fans who watched everything. Screenshots spread. Conspiracy threads erupted. Coincidence? They asked. By afternoon, the hashtag midnight call was trending worldwide. The real explosion came when an audio technician, a man who had worked on a sound stage near Can's apartment complex, posted an anonymous message on a gossip forum claiming he had overheard something unusual through open mic transmissions from a nearby production test. He said it sounded like Can's voice, late at night, trembling, emotional. It wasn't a scene. It was real. I heard him say her name. Within hours, the story had its first headline, World in Shock Face Screaming in Fear, Did Yaman Call Demet Özdemir at 3 a.m.? From there, it spiraled. News outlets replayed old clips of them together, dissecting every glance, every word. Body language experts were brought on morning shows. TikTok edits flooded the algorithm. Side-by-side videos of their interviews, slowed down moments of them almost touching, captions reading, "He never stopped loving her." But the most shocking piece came 3 days later. An Italian tabloid released what it claimed to be partial audio from that night, a short, muffled recording of two voices speaking softly. It wasn't clear, but you could hear it, a man saying, "I can't keep pretending," and a woman replying, "You shouldn't have called me." No one could verify it, but it didn't matter. The world believed. Demet's team denied the leak, calling it fabricated drama, while Cannes' PR agency refused to comment. But silence only made it worse. The public interpreted their refusal as confirmation. And suddenly, two people who had spent years trying to protect their truth were once again trapped in the storm they'd tried to escape. Behind closed doors, Demet was furious, not because of the rumors, but because of how real it all was. The call had happened. The world wasn't supposed to know. She had told herself it was a moment of weakness, something she could forget. But now, it was everywhere. Meanwhile, Ken sat alone in his apartment, watching the chaos unfold. His phone buzzed endlessly, reporters, fans, even old friends asking if it was true. But there was only one person he wanted to hear from, and she wasn't answering. He replayed her voice in his mind, that soft whisper, "I'm still here, Can." And now the whole world had heard it too. What neither of them knew was that the real betrayal hadn't come from fans or tabloids. It had come from someone much closer. Someone who had been inside his apartment that night. Because the leak, as it turned out, didn't come from a microphone. It came from a friend. The storm that followed wasn't born from the press, it came from someone much closer. Someone Ken trusted completely. He'd known Levent for years. A quiet friend who'd been with him since his early acting days, one of the few people allowed into his home without knocking. Levent had been there that night. He'd seen Ken restless, pacing the floor, pouring drink after drink before making that fateful call. And without anyone knowing, he had recorded part of it. Not out of malice at first, or so he told himself. He was worried about Can. But when the tabloids began offering unimaginable sums for any proof that the midnight call had been real, temptation did the rest. He sold it. The audio clip was short, almost harmless, just a few seconds of muffled voices, enough to confirm the story without revealing everything. But in a world hungry for scandal, that was all it took. Within hours of the leak, Can's phone rang nonstop. His manager. His lawyer. His mother. Everyone demanding answers. Demet called too, only once. "Was it you?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but her heart was shaking. "No," he said immediately. "You know I'd never." "Then who?" she asked quietly. He didn't answer. But he already knew. When the truth surfaced, that it had come from someone inside his home, Can's fury was volcanic. He felt betrayed, humiliated, exposed. Levent disappeared, shutting down his social media, vanishing from Istanbul entirely. But the damage was irreversible. The world had heard enough to turn a whisper into a storm. The tabloids began releasing exclusive transcriptions that grew more dramatic each day. What had begun as a 30-second leak became a full-blown narrative of forbidden love. Can and Demet back in secret contact. The love that never died. 3 a.m. confession rocks the industry. The internet thrived on it. Edits of their old scenes played to melancholic piano tracks. Fan theories dissected the call word by word. Some blamed Ken for reopening old wounds, others blamed Demet for answering. But behind the noise, both were drowning. Demet, ever the professional, went on set as if nothing had happened. But during one interview, when a journalist mentioned the call, she froze. Her hands tightened around the microphone. "Sometimes people forget that actors are human," she said softly. "We make mistakes. We feel. We hurt. But that doesn't mean we owe the world our hearts." Ken saw the clip later that night. and for the first time in months, he broke. He threw his phone across the room. All his strength, all his stoicism crumbled. Because he knew, she wasn't angry. She was hurt. And it was his fault. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he packed a bag, booked a flight, and disappeared from Rome. The next morning, paparazzi photos caught him at the Istanbul airport, hood pulled up, eyes red. He wasn't running from the scandal anymore. He was running to her. No one knew where he was going. But one headline said it all: Yaman returns home, alone, heartbroken, and silent. What no one expected was what came next, because just when the world thought the story had reached its peak, another secret was about to surface. One that would rewrite everything they thought they knew about that night. The moment Can's plane touched down in Istanbul, the air felt heavier. Every camera in the terminal turned toward him like a weapon. The flashing lights, the shouting reporters, the chaos, it was all too familiar. But this time, he didn't run. He didn't hide. He walked straight through, head high, eyes dark with purpose. He wasn't here for publicity. He wasn't here to fix his image. He was here for her. While the tabloids speculated about damage control, Can drove straight to Demet's neighborhood. He knew she wouldn't answer his calls, not after what happened. The only way to fix this was face to face. It was early morning when he parked outside her apartment, the same building he hadn't been near in years. He sat there for a long time, staring at the door, wondering if she'd even want to see him. When she finally stepped out, wearing a long coat and oversized sunglasses, she froze the moment she saw him. For a second, neither of them moved. The city around them didn't matter. "Can," she said softly, her tone a mix of surprise and disbelief. "I had to come," he said. "You shouldn't be here." "The press, let them talk," he interrupted. "They always will. But this time, I need you to hear the truth." She hesitated. Then, quietly, she opened the door and let him in. Inside, the silence was thick. The smell of coffee lingered in the air, and sunlight spilled through half-drawn curtains. For a moment, it felt like old times, the kind of normal that fame had stolen from them. Ken sat down, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the floor. "It wasn't supposed to happen," he said. "The call was real, but the leak wasn't me. Someone I trusted sold it." Demet's expression softened, but her eyes stayed sharp. "Levent?" He looked up, surprised. "You knew?" "I guessed," she said. "You forget, Can. I know the people who stand beside you, and I know which ones look at you with envy." He exhaled, nodding slowly. "He's gone. I'll deal with it. But that's not why I'm here." "Then why?" she asked, voice trembling. He met her eyes. "Because I meant what I said that night." The room seemed to shrink around them. She didn't speak, but tears welled in her eyes. He continued, voice low and steady. "You asked me what I wanted. I told you the truth. And here it is, I never stopped loving you. Not through the silence. Not through the lies. Not even when the world told me to forget." Demet's lip quivered. "Do you realize what you're saying? If anyone sees us now, it'll start again. The headlines, the rumors, everything we tried to escape." He stood, closing the distance between them. "Then let them. I'm done living like a ghost." For a long, fragile moment, they just stood there. Years of distance evaporated in the quiet space between them. The city outside buzzed, unaware that history was rewriting itself inside that small apartment. She took a deep breath, eyes locked on his. "You hurt me, Can. More than you'll ever know." "I know," he whispered. "And I'll spend the rest of my life proving I won't do it again." Then, slowly, almost hesitantly, she reached out and touched his hand. That single gesture said everything words couldn't. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was something stronger, the willingness to try again. Hours later, paparazzi would claim they'd seen them together at a quiet cafe near the Bosphorus. Photos would surface, blurry, distant, but undeniable. A woman with Demet's hair. A man with Can's stance. No denials this time. No statements. Just silence. But this silence was different. This was the silence of peace, not secrecy. And when one journalist asked Can about the rumors later that week, he smiled for the first time in months and said, "Sometimes, love needs to break before it can finally be real." The word spread like wildfire. And just when everyone thought the story was over, something unexpected happened, something that would prove the truth once and for all. Because one final recording was about to leak, but this time, it wasn't betrayal. It was proof. It happened exactly 1 week after their reunion. The tabloids had grown quieter. The frenzy had started to fade. For once, it seemed like the world was ready to let them be. But fate, as always, had one last card to play. Late on a Friday night, a video appeared on social media. It wasn't posted by a gossip page or a news outlet, it came from an anonymous account with no name, no followers, no history. The title was simple, The Midnight Promise. At first, people thought it was another fake. But within minutes, everything changed. The video was real. It wasn't paparazzi footage. It wasn't stolen audio. It was them. The scene was intimate, filmed quietly from a phone placed on a nearby table. The frame showed only candlelight, a reflection of the Bosphorus through the window, and two familiar voices, calm, soft, unmistakable. So this is it, then? After everything? No. This is where it starts again. And what about the world? Let them talk. They always will. Promise me, Demet. If this explodes again, if they twist everything again, then we disappear. Together this time. The last part was the sound of laughter, quiet, unguarded, real. The kind of laughter that had vanished for years. The clip lasted only 45 seconds. But it was enough to set the internet on fire. Within an hour, it had over 2 million views. Fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, every corner of the internet was filled with comments like, "They're together. Finally. That's real love, you can hear it." The promise they made was never broken. Major outlets tried to verify its origin, but no one could trace the uploader. Some said it came from a deleted iCloud backup, others believed it was intentionally released, a quiet rebellion, a way of saying we're done hiding. Neither Can nor Demet confirmed it. They didn't need to. That weekend, they were photographed again, this time not sneaking around or hiding under hats. They were walking through the streets of Rome, hand in hand, smiling. No bodyguards. No disguises. Just two people who had spent too long pretending not to love each other. When reporters shouted questions, Can only turned once, looked at them, and said, "If you want to know the truth, listen to the video. Everything else is noise." It was the most human answer he'd ever given, and maybe the bravest. By Monday, the video was being called the most romantic leak of the year. Celebrities reposted it. News anchors debated it. Psychologists analyzed their tone. But to those who truly followed their journey, it wasn't gossip anymore. It was closure. Demet posted something days later, a photo of the sea, waves crashing against the rocks at sunset. Her caption read, "Some stories were never meant to end, only to begin again." And then, as if planned by fate, Can posted a photo just hours later, the same sunset, the same light, the same sea. His caption was only one word, always. The world didn't need a statement. The fans didn't need an explanation. They had heard the laughter. They had seen the promise. They had felt the truth. Months passed, and the noise slowly faded into legend. The tabloids moved on to new scandals, new stars, new distractions. But every now and then, a fan would re-upload that 45-second clip, the candlelight, the quiet voices, the laughter. And it would remind the world that love, no matter how broken, could find its way home. Some people called it destiny. Some called it madness. But for those who believed, it was something much simpler, a story that refused to die. And maybe that's why even now, when someone asks whether Yaman and Demet Özdemir ever truly moved on, the only real answer is whispered by the waves of the Bosphorus, by the flicker of candlelight, by the echo of two voices caught in a moment they never meant to share. Then we disappear. Together this time. Because in the end, the world didn't just witness a call. It witnessed a promise. And that promise, like their love, was never meant to end.